Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, Wise.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, W-I-Z-E. I have a very special guest. He's a fellow New Yorker. He's an operations leader. He's a strategic planner. Welcome to the show, Jason Garcia. What's going on, brother?
What's going on, my brother Wise? Appreciate you for having me. It's an honor.
Listen, anytime I see a fellow Latino doing his thing out there and just doing positive things out in the community, man, that's you gotta help promote those people, man. You gotta help cheer those people on, man. That's what I'm about. Is about definitely cheering people on who doing good things out there.
Absolutely. You know, I've been following you. You have some great guests on, and so many resources come from these interviews that a lot of people need. So whether it's through the individual or any kind of organization that some of us have going, so. Thank you for allowing us to have this platform and sharing it with your audience.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Well, we've been trying to work on this interview for like 3 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Every time we was supposed to interview, something popped up. So, but this is when it was supposed to happen today. So we finally got it to happen. But a lot's been going on in those past few months. Like originally, you was working somewhere you're no longer there. But now you're telling me you're starting a consulting business, and that's exciting. Like I love seeing people get the entrepreneurship going.
Yeah, so definitely I know there's definitely been like a few months in the making, and a few things have changed since, but ultimately, like when one door closes, another one opens. So I'm definitely an ambitious individual, and coming up from humble beginnings. Like we've had discussions like off camera. We have similar upbringings in like tough neighborhoods, so we definitely will rise in occasions where some may not. So definitely right now I'm looking to work with some of my partners, which are also my brothers, that I worked with, and the consultant thing right now has been like in discussion since the pandemic, because I think during that time everybody was trying to navigate the pandemic and also look for multiple sources of income, right? Unfortunately, a lot of people got laid off, and it was a tough time for all of us, and I think that's what I was saying. So right now it's I'm really been working on business plans and reaching out to a few connections and trying to really make something happen. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But I have some other things that are also lined up that I short-term and long-term goals. And so it's a lot of stuff that's in the making, that I'm looking to really get off the ground and get going. That's gonna support the community, support other entrepreneurs, and just inspire. That's the whole thing. Like you said, it's inspiring others, man.
Yeah, definitely. But all right, so like you said, you're a hustler. You got that in you. So like you said, that one door closed, another one opened. A lot of people are afraid to take that step. They're afraid to take that step of going into entrepreneurship, because let's get it straight. Not everyone is an entrepreneur. Not everyone is built for it, because a lot of times people want that instant gratification. They want that paycheck now. And when you're an entrepreneur, you actually work harder than you would working a 9 to 5.
Absolutely. That grind, one thing that I learned in operations, and this is something like more in the professional realm, like operations, and everyone, has an idea what operations is, but it's nothing like when you really like work through like the grind and like what we like to call it, me and my fellow operation leaders, the trenches. And that's where you really see where, characters are made. And sometimes not everyone is built for it, like you said. So being an entrepreneur or becoming or wanting to become an entrepreneur, you definitely have to understand that is no instant gratification. It may not take, 2 years, 3 years. It may take 5, 10 years. But I think the investment of the time and really, taking your time and planning out a real, like, the schematics, but also knowing that that plan may not work. So having a plan B, so it's
Listen, it's what to me it's taking, at least you're taking the risk. You're taking that risk to learn, because everyone makes mistakes. You're not gonna get it right the first time. The point of it being is that you learn from those mistakes.
absolutely,
When you're an entrepreneur, there's things you're gonna try, and they're gonna fail. And then there's things that you're gonna try, and they're gonna work. And it's gonna balance itself out. But the point is, people have to stop being afraid of failing, because sometimes that's what stops people from attempting anything.
absolutely.
Is the fear of failing, and what they're not realizing is you've already failed by not even trying.
Yes, yes, and that's where like we come from, where we want to make our family proud, and that's pride is huge, right? Pride can get in your way, ego can get in your way. Failure is definitely one of the biggest. I think a lot of people don't speak to that and say like, oh no, I'm not afraid to fail. Deep down inside, they are afraid to fail. So by doing that, by having that crippling feeling, you actually don't even make a decision. You paralyzed to like making a decision or wanting to take that risk because you're afraid of that failure. And but failure is listen, it goes hand in hand with success, man. Like you can fail, and you can just find, that's one way not to do it, right? And we may learn from predecessors, we may learn from colleagues or fellow entrepreneurs or business owners or leaders, right? Because even some of the greatest leaders,
Have coaches, yeah.
yeah,
So Denzel Washington, one of the greatest actors of all time, has a
yeah,
coach. I'm saying, so Tony
absolutely,
Robbins, one of the best motivational speakers in the world, has a coach. These people
yeah,
actually have mentors, people that they go for
yeah,
answers that they might not hold. And that's what the thing is. You can't be afraid to not know anything. Like it's good not to know anything. It's good to learn from other people. It's good to surround yourself with people don't that know the things you don't know.
yeah, yeah,
It's like that thing. The analogy is, you shouldn't be the smartest person in the room.
yeah, absolutely. Then you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've already hit your ceiling.
Yes.
Like, get out that room. Go to the next room. Shout out to Denzel Washington too, fellow Bronxite, fellow Fordham University alumni. Um, yeah, like see, like even the best, and we see them, doing the great work that they do, and we look at them, we marvel at, their success. But you know how many takes it took for him to get that scene right, right? Like that's the work that happens behind the scenes,
Yeah.
that really builds that character. Like what you're saying, when it comes to that, that grit, and it's not made for everyone. Like some people, like, I want to go to Hollywood and become an actor, and they just sleep in their car for a few months, and then they head back to New York or to wherever. It's not for everybody, but but yeah, but you can't be afraid to try it though. That's ultimately, like, try it.
And that was my issue with me, because I had been wanting to start a podcast since 2019, and I was supposed to start with a homeboy from work, and we was gonna do it on sports, and him and his girl got pregnant, so that killed it right there, because with a newborn you ain't got no time.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
the whole 2019 goes by, and I got the equipment in the house. I'm not using it. I'm just messing around once in a while, recording, deleting. And then finally one day I was like, you know what, man? Let me just stop playing and stop being afraid. And I pressed record. It was only like 5 minutes long. And it was funny because I didn't have all the proper equipment. I was talking with my nephew on the phone. I didn't have the jack from the phone to go to my mixer. I was just actually holding the phone to the mic.
Yeah.
And and that was the first episode. But he was like, nah, we shouldn't release it. It's not ready. I'm like, nah, I want people to see where we started from.
Yeah.
I want them to see this is how we started to where we're at now. To where I'm
Absolutely.
at now, where I've invested highly, I've invested in myself. I've bought better
Thousands.
mics.
Thousands.
I bought a new mixer. I bought a switcher for my video, all that. But it was me wanting to invest in myself. I was like,
Yeah.
I was furloughed furloughed from my job for a few months because of the pandemic. I was getting extra money. I was like, so I started taking courses on things that would help me become a better podcaster. I invested in a quality mic. Like I said, I invested in myself. I could have simply just went and did what a lot of people did and spend it on clothes or spend it on material things.
Yeah.
But where I was like, nah, I want to invest in myself. It's me actually adding value to what I do.
Yeah.
Everything I'm learning, everything I'm doing is a skill that I'm learning. So it's actually adding value to what I'm worth now. Now I can charge people certain things because I know how to do things that people don't want to do.
Yeah. And you started from the mud, like we said, started from the mud. Raw beginnings of like straight with the with the phone. That listen, that always takes me back to like, you know, us as kids and how innovative and creative we were, and we still are to some degree, right? Like, what was it, the milk crate? We make basketball
courts.
Right?
Yeah. They don't.
Like
Kids don't know. Listen, they don't know about playing in the streets, man. They don't know about taking chalk and doing a skelly court in the middle of the street, or going to the handball court playing handball. They don't know about that now, man. We that last generation that actually went and played in the streets and had a great childhood, man. Man, there was like, I can remember chilling with my friends outside, and once you saw that street light come on, you know what time it was.
Yep.
You know what time it was.
And if you try to stay any later, that's when you be like, that's when you hear mom or dad out the window. That's it, or the whistle. My mom had like a very distinctive whistle.
Yeah. So you already knew.
For some reason, it bounced off the walls in the Bronx or the building. So you could be down the block and you just say, we like, and my friends would be like, man, that's your mom. And I'm like, I'm out of now they're one man short of a basketball. There's like 2-on-3 now. I'm out of here. So yeah, man, humble beginnings, but those are like the best memories where, you know, we didn't have too much of like the dependency of like devices, where when we didn't know nothing, we had to pick up a dictionary, we had to look it up, right? Like now everything is Google search.
So that's why, that's why it's so now it's so easier to learn a lot of the things I've learned as far as editing and all that.
It's self-taught.
Is YouTube. I was on YouTube frequently.
Because we come from a very resourceful era where we didn't have.
Yeah, where we had to go to the library and actually get the card from the thing and find out where this book was, what shelf, or what reference this was at. Or we actually had to do research. We didn't.
Yes.
We didn't have no computers where we could just sit down and get pumped. No, we had to actually go look for the book or look for the whatever we needed to look for in the library. Go on a treasure hunt.
We were the last of the natural explorers, right? Like we really explored, whether it was a neighborhood, community, or research, whether it was for personal, like I love sports. So I was always into like autobiographies, particularly baseball. So, if I can get my hands on like a autobiography of a baseball player in the library, I definitely would read it. So yeah, that was our era, but that's where I like when we could stand the test of times when things like this happen, and
if you look behind me, you could tell I love baseball.
Yeah, I see the field. I see it, and I see the Yankee. I see it.
So you can tell. And then over here, I got a picture of Roberto Clemente. So I love baseball is my first love, man. I love sports. Yeah. I love sports, period, because I remember going to school and buying the paper, and the first thing I would do was turn to the back page.
Yep.
Yeah. It wasn't. I wasn't going through. I was started at the back.
Yep. I was looking at the stats.
Yeah. I was looking. I wanted to see the scores to the night for the night before, or whatever it was.
It used to give you the information on the following games, and they had who was pitching. Like all of this stuff now is like dinosaurs to the kids. They're like, what? We could just Google NewYorkYankee.com, find out what their
whatever it is. Yeah. It's completely different, man. It's got his benefits and it's got his vices, man. It is, but it goes. It's like we're the first real gamers.
Yep.
Saying because we had the Nintendo and all the, and then we all that, and then of course when we got internet, it wasn't what it was now. Is we had to dial up. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
somebody picked up the
It was,
phone,
it was over.
yeah, the call would drop. Like
Yeah.
the internet would drop. Like what the hell?
You're like
I'm on
on
the
yeah,
computer.
yeah. You're like on Yahoo chat. Like, why are they not responding? Get off the
Yeah,
phone.
but
Oh man.
it's a big difference now. But now there's so many resources for entrepreneurs. There's so many
Yeah,
ways for someone to become an entrepreneur. There's this, but the thing is, you have to find what you love to do.
yeah.
You
Absolutely.
can't just be an entrepreneur and like, oh no, you have to love what you do, and that's the key. I wish everyone could find what makes them happy.
Yeah,
I'm saying, but there's people that are just at a job just to collect a paycheck, and that's not life, man. That's not living life the way we're supposed to. We're meant to live it,
yeah,
and so that's one of the reasons I do my podcast is so we can inspire people to hopefully they listen to that conversation that we're having and listen to that. Hey, these guys are out there. They're regular guys like me, or I'm saying they're just regular people like me, but they're going after what they want.
yeah,
They're out there doing things. They're trying to achieve their goals. They're trying it. Why can't that be me? And that's what I want. I want people to be like, why can't it be me? Why can't I be doing it? Why can't I do what I want to love, what I love to do? And my thing is, you can go out there and find like I tell people, like it took me 40 something years to find my purpose, and when now that I finally found it, I'm not giving that up. I'm
yeah,
gonna continue to grind and do what I'm doing because it's working. People are out there like, yo, we're listening to you. We enjoy your
yeah,
content. You're putting out some good content. Continue to do what you do. A lot of people reaching out, hey, we want to do collab. Let's do this, and that's like humbling. That's like
yeah,
at first because you get sometimes you get that doubt, like, damn, am I really doing something? Am I really
yeah,
making an impact? But then you start realizing all these people reaching out to you, wanting to work with you. That kind of that kind of like
yeah,
confirms what you're doing you're doing something good. Because why would somebody want to work with you if you wasn't doing good?
yeah. That's a fact. That's a fact, and you definitely are. Living proof of like it's never too late, right? Don't be afraid to take that risk. Invest in yourself, believe in yourself, and I think that comes even from like when we were younger. You know, I'm sure we took a lot of risks of doing things in the streets, but ultimately like where our heart was, it was that we just want to do something that we're passionate about that makes us happy. Like the saying goes, like if you find something that makes you happy, then you never feel like you're working, right?
Yeah,
Like, and that's ultimately like where like the same way I feel the same as you. Like I hope everyone can find that. That's a is a great feeling when you find something that you feel that fills the purpose, and I think everyone looks for their purpose, or hopefully everyone should be looking for their purpose, right? That
yeah,
our time in the flesh is well spent and is invested into not only to themselves, but as you invest in yourself, you invest in others too, because whatever you invest in, then you become a commodity where you can share that, right? Like this platform for people to hear my story and those guests before me, which I've I'm still catching up on. You have quite a few guests, everyone has a story, and you're allowing this platform, right? We're not like big celebrities, not yet, right? But when we get to the top, don't forget about Wise, right? You know what I'm saying? So
no, but
like,
it's crazy because
I'll come back.
I haven't had no big A celebrities, but I've had some celebrities on. I had someone recently on. I just actually released the audio today, and
Okay,
I, The Secret is one of my one of the favorite movies that I watched, and the book. I enjoyed the book. He was actually a contributor to the movie and the book, and to have him on my show was something big for me. Like it was someone I knew who I knew he was. Once they reached out to me and they're like, "Yeah, Bob Doyle wants to be on your show," I'm like, "Really?"
nice.
That's just like, okay, this is someone who I look at as someone that when I saw the Secret, it was like it was played a big impact on my life. And people think, oh, that's just mumbo jumbo. Me and him had a great conversation about manifestation and going out and just having faith and belief in what you're doing. People people want to go again. Like, is that instant gratification? They think like, oh yeah, okay, think about it and it's gonna happen. Not you actually have to also put action towards it.
Absolutely.
You can't just think that it's just gonna happen. You have to put action. You have to do things to help that fall in place. And once you start doing that, the world's is yours, man. You
Yeah.
can go out there and
No limit.
obtain what you want, but the point is building that belief, because we're
Yeah.
programmed right now to be complacent. We're programmed to be like, oh, go get that 9 to 5, get that secure paycheck, and that's it. But we're still struggling. People still living paycheck to paycheck. People still out there spending money on stuff they don't necessarily like. It's funny because we our our community goes out and spends all this money on Jordans and all this money on clothes and all this stuff, and millionaires and billionaires don't spend that.
Yeah.
They'll buy a t-shirt and a pair of jeans.
That's a sad truth, and not just any clothes, designer clothes. These clothes are not cheap. These guys is wearing, like, in one outfit, they're wearing somebody's like car note, house payment, and like life insurance policy payment.
But don't have nothing. But they don't have nothing to fall back on. That's like they're spending all that money on this stuff, and
they're getting on the bus.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why do you got a Metro card and a Louis Vuitton wallet? I'm like, your priorities is wrong, but that's where like mentorship and like having, those counsel or some individuals to be able to like, advise you. They don't have no direction.
And that's another one of my goals is to eventually start mentoring young people, start going to schools and be able to speak in schools, and
we're gonna collab then. I'll talk about my long-term goals in a little bit, but yeah, that's good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but that's a goal. That's something I started. I've really been thinking about doing because I want to give back.
Yep.
I want to give back to the community. I want to give back to this young generation and show them that you have the right idea, yes, but let's get that. Let's get it together and work together and build something, because a lot of these, like, some of these kids are amazing, man. Like, they're out there investing in stocks and doing all this stuff that we didn't know anything about. Like, growing up, we didn't know anything about investing in stocks. Like, we probably played the stock game in school once in a while, but other than that, we didn't know that we needed to invest in stocks or we needed to get life insurance and stuff like that. People think that you need life insurance like, life insurance, what millionaires and billionaires do is they get life insurance policies and borrow from it.
Yeah, and they set up trusts for the kids, and they borrow from the policy.
Yeah,
it's all financial literacy, which we was definitely
which we are never taught. We were never taught that, and so we need to change that. That's one of the things where I love to work with people who that's what they want, is to be able to change this, to change the financial literacy of this country, especially in our community.
Yeah, in the inner cities where
it's not nothing. We're just taught to go to school, go to college,
get a 9 to 5,
yeah,
work, and then die.
That's it. That's not life.
Unfortunately,
man. Yeah, unfortunately, that's what they're programmed. That's what they're programming us. That's the program they ran on us, and now a lot of us that are awake now and realizing this isn't correct. This isn't what it's supposed to be. We need to continue to share that message. Like, hey, there's other things besides that.
Absolutely. One of my good friends, and also, with the whole consulting business, it comes from, the conversations I had with him. He always says that go back to your toolbox, right? Because that's where all like experience, skill sets, everything is. You have your toolbox, and that toolbox is, your lifeline to whatever it is that you're trying to do. And kind of going back to what you were saying as far as like the inner city, like the young men and women, the young men and women, black and brown, have great skill sets, but they're not really going into their toolbox and seeing what else they're missing, right? because you can work on something and you go, all right, I can't use this for this, but I can use this for this, and then acquire this tool, and now I can build this. And it's a very, light analogy, but it makes sense, right? Because we all have different skill sets. I may be good at something that you may not be, and you may be good at something that I'm not. So we can share our toolboxes and learn. Now we're replicating these tools, and now we become a stronger force. And that's where like the unity part of like in the community is lost, right? Because no one wants to share. Everyone is like, I'm trying to do better than you, right?
Yeah,
It's
they're
like
trying
the
to compete.
crab in the
Person,
bucket.
yeah, the only
right?
one person
Crab in
I'm grabbing, yeah, pulling crabs in the bucket. Yeah, it's I know what you're talking about.
like
But
they'll grab on you and
pull
climb
you back
over
in.
you,
Crabs
pull
pull
you
you back
back
in. Yeah.
and to get to the top, and that's not how it should be.
No, we the thing is, I'm not competing with any other podcaster. I'm competing with myself every day. I'm competing with what I did yesterday. Like I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday. And so for me, it's I love to share my knowledge. Like when somebody reaches out, hey, how do you do this? How did you do that? I have no problem sharing that with them because that's what I'm here for. That's what you need to do is share what you know. Now, if it's something where I have to do a lot of work and stuff, then now you have to pay for my time now. But
Yeah,
if it's something simple that I can help you with, I have no problems like that. But now if I'm investing heavily my time into something, then I need to be compensated.
absolutely.
And I would expect the same something from someone else. Like if I needed them to do something where it's going to take a lot of their time, then I expect to compensate them. I expect to pay them for their work.
No, absolutely. And definitely like one thing that we can say for certain is that people are the best resources, man. Like it's there's no one man team. There's a collective. There's always individuals behind the scene or some kind of supporter or advisor. So resources, people are the best resources. We learn from each other, right? Like that's put pride to the side and ego to the side and humble yourself. I always say that I'm a student of life forever, right?
Yeah.
I would never have all the answers, but whatever I do learn, I'm gonna try to share as much as possible so that they have more in their toolbox and they can get further than I did.
And that's the problem. People like to hoard their knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not supposed to be like that, man. You're supposed to be able to share what you learn. I'm saying
Each one teach one.
yeah, basically, yeah, that's how it has to go. That's what we're here for, is to help each other grow and learn. And like I said, I'm not here competing with anybody else. I'm just competing with myself. I'm competing with my past self, to be better than I was yesterday. That's it.
Yes,
That's I don't look at it as anyone else. I actually look at my the people I've met through podcasters as amazing networking tool. Like those
yeah,
are people you
absolutely.
network with to help build you up.
Those are your colleagues.
Yeah,
They're your colleagues. They're not your competition. They're your colleagues.
and that for me has been amazing because networking with all these people has opened up so many different opportunities. Has opened up different doors for me. Different, just like how where you was at previously, the networking you did there is going to benefit you now with the consulting business. For me, it's the networking I've done with podcasting has opened doors like doing voiceover work, actually producing other
Awesome.
shows. Like I just reached like a couple of months ago, I got my first voiceover credit, and that
Nice.
to me was a great feeling. That was like,
Yeah.
what? I got voiceover credit now, like,
Nice.
and so that just pushes me to go out and do more. And now, like I said, I want to to go speak in schools or go and speak to people and help inspire them to do great things.
Yeah.
But that's me stepping out of my comfort zone, knowing that I'm not someone who does public speaking for a living.
Yeah.
That's that. But I guess now I am because I do my podcast, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like public speaking. It's just my audience isn't in front of me at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's me wanting to step out of my comfort zone and do something that I feel that I can be good at.
Yeah. And that's going back to what you were saying earlier, right? Like you're not letting the fear, or maybe like lack of experience or stop you from doing this because you feel passionate about it. Like listen, if what they said, if if your decisions don't scare you, then you're not making the right decisions, right? We can come up with a bunch of analogies that we've seen or we've lived through, that we felt the feeling. And yeah, if it doesn't scare you, your dreams are not. Oh no, that's it. Like if your
dreams not big enough, yeah. If your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough.
Yes, and that right there is a great analogy of like, where we were dreamers. One day, I remember being young, and I know you could probably think of this too, and looking at cars and saying that's my car, right? And we're kids, right? The innocence, but like I remember those things, and it reminds me of like how far we've come. So like I'm not, I fear certain things, like, but like,
you know what it is? Like with my grandson, I don't want him to ever lose his dreams.
Yeah.
Like, so my goal is to show him that, you can live your dreams. So I do what I do so he can see that, look, my pop did what he wanted, is doing what he loves to do. He's out there recording. I want to do this, and he's shown me that I can do it. That's my goal, is to show him and my other grandson that, hey, whatever you set your mind to, you can do it. Like, absolutely. If you want to do this or do that, I support you 100%. Just go out and do it. At least attempt it. And if you find out that it's not for you, I still support you. But the fact that you attempted is what I want.
It's more than just not trying it. Again, going back to you saying, like, not even trying is the failure. Yeah. Not failing. Failing is a lesson.
Yep.
But not going for it.
So are you technically really failing then? Like, if you think about it, are you really failing? It's a lesson. Question. It's a lesson. Yes. So are you really failing? Is it really a failure then? Because no, it's something you're supposed. It's a failure if you keep repeating the same mistake and keep repeating the same thing. Then yes, it's a failure. But is it really a failure if you found out that it didn't work for you? No, it's just a lesson. Yeah. So if you think of it as more as a lesson and not as a failure, then it's a different view. Now it's like, I didn't fail. It didn't work for me. It just didn't work. There's something else it's something else I have to try to make it work. This just wasn't the way.
Like, my purpose is aligned in a different direction, like, and I always tell my kids with like that point, like, of failure as a lesson. So I never say, I said you either succeed or you learn, right? That's a fact, because that failure, what it does is, and this is like even from younger, like, like losing, right? All right, well, you lost the game, but you didn't fail in the game itself. You lost the game, but like failing, if we feed that and don't really, change the language to make it as more constructive, like. Listen,
it's self-talk. It's self-talk.
Yeah.
Self-talk is big. That's something that I tell a lot of people is, watch how you talk to yourself. Watch the words you say to yourself. Like, if you go and you tell yourself, oh, I'm a stupid idiot, or I'm a dumb moron. Nah, man, you need to watch how you talk to yourself. Yeah. That's the most important talk, is how you talk to yourself.
Yep.
Is how you feel about yourself. And that's something that people need to work on.
Yeah,
people they treat themselves very bad. Yeah, like they don't take care of themselves.
I could attest. I'm my own worst critic, is because I always push myself. But you're
being your own worst critic is completely different from.
Oh no, definitely.
It's completely different from you really talking down to yourself.
Yeah,
you being your critic is knowing that I know I could have done this better.
Yeah,
this way. But you're not down there like, oh, I'm a stupid idiot, I can't. Nah, it's more you being critiqued, like, oh, I could have done this better this way. That is fine. Like, being your own worst critic, that's fine. But it's when, again, you start talking down to yourself and start saying and trying to make yourself feel bad. That's just not. It can't happen. You have to really, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It's these are things that we were programmed with. These are things that we learn from other people. We learn from hearing people talk to us like that, or people say things to us. So it's all.
And it kind of goes into what you were saying too about the conversation you was having with Bob Doyle.
Bob Doyle, yes,
about manifestation, right? Because when you're manifesting, or you whether it's visualization manifesting in your mind, speaking things into existence. You got to
Yeah.
speak on a high vibration. You got to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And I know I've had conversations with myself, when things got tough. And to be like, listen, man, this is a moment. A lot of the things that happen and like the worst times of our lives are always a moment, right? But if you don't talk to yourself in a way to get yourself up out of there, then you dig yourself in a hole.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this is a case for everybody, but just to your point of just being able to talk to yourself, to be conscious of how you're talking to yourself, because then whatever you tell yourself sits in your subconscious and you really believe it.
Yeah.
And you have so much more potential, but you didn't talk yourself down into this dish that you think you will never get out of.
Yeah.
And life will pass by and you'll be in that ditch, unfortunately. And so, yeah, that's a really great point of just like, speak to yourself. Your that's your temple. It's going to echo when you speak, so whatever you
Yeah.
say, you're going to hear it 1,000 times. So yeah, absolutely. That would be like a great talking point for like kids, because I think self-esteem with social media, all these things that have them questioning themselves, right?
Yeah.
And they're talking to they're
It's a
looking
different. It's a different time. Like when we, at least when we went to school and kids got bullied, it ended at school. Like you didn't
yeah,
go home and you didn't have to worry about being bullied at home. Now with social media, they can't escape the bullying.
yeah, it's
These
everywhere.
kids, these kids are getting bullied in school, getting bullied online,
Yeah,
getting bullied everywhere they go. They
yeah,
can't escape it. They get
yeah.
messages from everywhere.
Chat groups, yeah,
Yeah. So, like I said, for us, when we would get bullied at school, we knuckled up.
yeah, yeah.
We
That's a
knuckled up. And once you got out of school, you went home. You wasn't bullied at home unless you was in a bad situation at home, which in a lot of cases it was the case as
yeah,
well. But like it's a completely different animal now. Like I said, with all this technology and stuff, it's
yeah,
completely different. So a lot you can understand why a lot of the suicide rate for teenagers, and especially now with the pandemic and all
yeah,
that, it's really making these kids feel like they're alone, like they don't have no one to reach out. And it's crazy because even in the black and brown community, men, it's real hard for men because we're not supposed to show weakness. We're not
yeah,
supposed to show that
yeah,
we're vulnerable and all that. And so it's crazy because, like you said, is that pride thing.
yeah,
Like you said earlier, pride it can hinder you sometimes, right?
yeah,
It can hold you back when you feeling like, nah, I'm too good. I can't go speak to somebody. I can't go seek that help that I need because I don't want people to think that I'm crazy, or I don't want people to think I'm weak or anything like
yeah,
that. And we need to change that narrative. We need to be able to change and realize that don't matter, man. It doesn't matter if you're a man, whatever. If you need help, it's okay.
yeah.
It's all right to go out there and seek that help, man. It's all right to go speak to somebody to help you with whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
Like,
So mental health is a big problem in the black and brown community. Like I want to just talk to like and we spoke offline before the this interview, and coming from where we've come from in the inner city of New York, whether it's Brooklyn, the Bronx, like PTSD is real, right? And it just doesn't exist in the military. I'm telling you that right now. I can attest to some of the friends that I had that we grew up, and they try to escape through drug use and stuff, alcoholism, and it wasn't because they enjoyed, I personally don't believe it. But I've seen, again, like a lot of close friends just kind of take drugs to numb what reality we was living in,
yeah,
point blank, like it was just this. And so PTSD is real. Mental health is a big issue. um yeah, so
I'm a big I am someone who went through some tragedies in their life, and I try to numb the pain with alcohol and self medication and sex and all that bullshit and all that. And it was and I did it for years, man. I spent most of my 30s being self destructive,
yeah,
and one day I woke up and you hear that voice telling you like, yo, you need to change your life or you're gonna die. You need to change your life or you're gonna just be in the streets, homeless, not knowing where your future's gonna lie. And so to be able to hear that voice and do something about it and seek the help that I needed and turn my life around and get remarried and find a job that I've been at for the last 8 years and now find my passion with podcasting.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you like, listen, you can be the lowest of the lowest in your life where you have nothing in your life. You don't have a pot to piss in. And to be able to turn that around is testament to what life has its ups and downs, but it's how you pick yourself back up, man. I understand there's people who have tried. My story is my story isn't better than anyone else's, but it's my story. And if someone can take something from it, and if I can help someone realize that, yo, this guy went through some struggles, this guy's been through some tragedies, and he still got up. If they can take from that and help themselves, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah,
I'm doing my purpose. I'm serving my purpose.
Yeah, no, you definitely walking in it, and your vulnerability. That's a strength. For people look at it as a weakness. You know, like vulnerability is a strength. I think it's a superpower to be able to like share, you know, like things that where others feel like pride will get in the way, and you know, and people are gonna pass judgment. Listen, like that's why with the post that I had on LinkedIn, I started off very the first sentence was my story, like just like many others, right? Because like your story is your story, my story is my story. Everyone has a story, and everyone has some trials and tribulations. But to be able to be to show that there's a way out, right? Resilience is real. Believe in yourself, like talking to yourself during those down moments, speaking that, you know, that strength into yourself, and also the like my like ancestors, like you know, I'm sure you have family members that you kind of like identify with, like, you know, that showed like that strength. Like we have so many, you know, experiences, and we have to sort through like a Rolodex of all of, you know, the shit that we've been through. And
now
find your reason, or whether it's your family, whether it's your life.
Like, now that I'm older, I realize a lot of the things that I didn't know back then. Like now you look at it and you're like, damn, she like my aunt, she was the reason she brought her family from Puerto Rico. She brought a lot of her family over to Puerto Rico, and she was an entrepreneur. She had her own, she invested in property. She didn't work for anyone, and she ran her numbers and she did her stuff. And so, but she was a hustler. She was out there, but I didn't really look at it. I didn't like now that I sit back and reflect on it. She was an entrepreneur. She was a businesswoman that was out there doing her thing in a society where, at a time where women weren't doing what she was doing. She was a boss lady. I'm saying my aunt was a boss lady in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And so now that I reflect on it and look at it, I'm like, damn, that like I did have those entrepreneurs around me that I just didn't know what it was. I didn't know what they were doing. Of course, we had the local entrepreneurs, which were the hustlers and the drug dealers that we looked up to. But I mean, people like her, like that did it the right way, that invested in property, that went and did it a different way and opened a bodega or something or whatever it was. We didn't look at it as them being entrepreneurs, and well, being a bodega is more like a business owner,
small
business owner,
but it's still, you know,
it
going in the direction of, you know, of entrepreneurship, of like in the moment of making a decision to say, listen, this is what I want to do. Like I definitely known a lot of small business owners. They were just in the wrong business. Right. but they were amazing at what they did to make, you know, all the elements, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to glamorize, you know, anything that, you know, I wouldn't, of course, you know, for our kids, because we're changing it, but this is what we grew up around.
With. Yeah, that's
you know, and it was just, if we had the resources now that we have now, that with those small business owners that were in the field of business they were in, if they would be able to be redirected to,
So different, yeah. If
oh,
they
they
had
would
the
be,
mentors,
they would be
imagine
amazing.
yeah. Because if they can, like, if they were business savvy doing what they were hustling, imagine actually running a legit business, how they would do it. And
Listen,
so, yeah,
I've we've all been around the block, right? There's marketing, there's promotion, there's procurement, there's product, there's services, there's SWOT, right? Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats, whether it
yeah,
be, I don't know, stick up kids, police, right? All of that, right? But this is all a business plan, right? So like if we had the resources that we have now, or at least now that they're more accessible, forget about it. It would have been so many more entrepreneurs coming out of the inner cities and going in the right, because we just, and I hate to say like we had the short end or the shit end of the stick.
yeah.
We just lived in some tough times. There's been those before us that had it tough, but like during our era, during that 70s and 80s,
Yeah, that crack era was
it was
different for
real.
us, man. It was
It
different
was
for us.
real. It was real. It was like
Yeah.
Zombieville, like the real World War
I remember
Z.
playing. Listen, I remember playing in abandoned buildings and vacant lots.
Dirty
Like,
mattresses.
yeah, jumping onto burnt mattresses and all that.
It was
People
crazy.
laugh and think like, seriously, like, yeah, this is what we grew up with. This is what, like, my neighborhood was a
Real.
bunch of abandoned buildings and vacant lots, and us running through them like it was a playground.
Like it was Discovery Zone.
Yeah, like it was a play. Yeah,
Whatever we discovered, like it really was real. Like I'm from
yeah,
the Southwest Bronx, South Bronx. So yeah, man, that the Bronx was burning was a real thing in the
yeah.
70s. There was a lot of vacant lots throughout New York. There was landfills throughout New York, from Harlem to Brooklyn to the Bronx. I think Queens was a little bit didn't have too much going on, but like definitely Brooklyn, Manhattan, or Harlem, and the Bronx, like the budget at the time, I don't know, I think it was like Koch and then Dinkins, but anyway, during that time frame, they weren't investing into the neighborhoods. They weren't
No,
rebuilding. We had the slumlords that were real, like
yeah,
it was really bad. So when they look at pictures or look at clips, or when we talk about it, this new generation laughs like, oh, that's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it was, but we made it out.
yeah. We
We
that
made
just
it out.
that goes to show y'all like we can overcome a lot of shit and be able to turn our lives around, and like it's just amazing, man. Like like I would have probably thought I would have probably ended up like my brothers and them and all that, and ended up in the game, but it wasn't meant to me. Meant to be. I met my wife, fell in love with her, and got out the game and moved, and so to be able to be blessed and get out the game before anything serious happened, like jail time or whatever.
Yeah,
It's just now it's time for me to like do right, do the positive stuff, do
yeah,
help help uplift people, and again, we come from somewhere we didn't. What we did, we didn't know what we were doing was wrong, whatever. It came
yeah,
natural to us. It
yeah.
was
That's what we
it, was-
saw.
it was what we was born up. This is what we
Hmm.
was brought up around, and we were with the mentality that we couldn't succeed in anything else, because
Yeah,
that's what we was fed. We was
yeah,
told that we're nothing. We come from nothing. We are nothing, and that's not true. Like, there's so much greatness in all of us, but we're stifling it. Like, they're trying to stifle it.
yeah. One of the things I took away from, not well, one of many things that I took away from my sociology and psychology professor in college, was that during the very mature stages, because we always are continuously maturing, some faster than others, but at that vulnerable stage of like early teens and even before that, we're sponges, but ultimately we're impersonators, right? So what my professor told me, Dr. Smith, shout out to Dr. Smith, Monroe College, he said kids are great impersonators, bad interpretators, right? We didn't know how to interpret exactly what was going on when we saw things in our environment, but we was able to impersonate it perfectly, right? We can talk the talk, we can sag our pants, we can do all of this and become what we see, because it's all we see. We see it every day, and with repetition, some people become good at it, even if it's bad for you, right? But this is the innocence. This is when the innocence actually gets taken, right? Because once we went outside and we started to, impersonate, or we're starting to like, just really become, unfortunately, the saying of product of our environment.
Yeah,
we have an innocence that is still there, and we didn't go in, like you said, we don't go out and be like, oh, we're, I'm gonna become the best gangster of the year or whatever, like we don't even know what that meant. We just only emulated and saw, and we wanted to be that because that's all that we saw.
That's what we saw. That was who was in our neighborhood. Those were the ones driving the fancy cars. Those were the ones who had the women. Those were the ones that all the girls would flock to. Like every girl in the neighborhood, like, you broke. What am you for? Like,
exactly. Like
I'm saying, they looking at you like you a broke bum. Why would they want to fuck with you? So believe me, it's that pressure. Like, all right, if I want
that social status.
Yeah, like if I want the girls, if I want that title, if I want that recognition, then I gotta be in the streets. And it's not
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
So what I like to always say, especially like if I'm speaking to like the youngins, because I still go back to my neighborhood, from time to time, and there is like like kids that were like pretty much newborns or like 4 or 5 years old when I was, running around the streets, and now they're older, they're like 20 something, and they see me, they're like, oh, Jay, what's going on? And always show them love, right? Because I knew them still kids. I never passed judgment on no one. From I believe you should give the respect to the janitor, the same respect you give to the CEO, you should give to the janitor. I do believe that in every sense of the word. So I never think because I have a college degree or a couple college degrees and I'm a military vet and I worked at all like great corporate places and other spaces that I'm better than anybody. Always hungry, but definitely always humble. So I never forget where I come from. So whenever I go back, I always tell them, like, listen, you can make the decisions that you're going to make now, but just know that you have short-term goals, right? So the social status and all that, right? It's short-term stuff, because after you become a viejo, all of that, it's going to be a topic of conversation.
It's going to be
right?
a mute. It's going to be mute. They going to be making no.
It's going to be a new young, a new young guy there. So think of your long-term, right? Like there's definitely no 401ks. There's no life insurance. There's none of that in the streets. So think about what you want to do. This is what you may feel like you have to do at the time. And sometimes you may, but know that you have resources. And so kind of also going back to what you were saying of just talking mentorships and speaking to the youth, that's the conversation we need to have with them, short-term and long-term. In the moment, listen, I made some of the greatest mistakes, in that time of like, late teens, 20, like that is going to happen. No one has it figured out, but try to at least give yourself, a little bit of navigation and have like a plan, So my plan, when I was around 17, 18, I saw that the walls were closing in, things weren't, getting better with the decisions I was making. I love my neighborhood, but I decided to go into the military, and mainly because I didn't have enough money for college. And, my family didn't come, I didn't have like no heir being, I wasn't an heir of nothing, of just my family, but there was no money.
Heir of air.
Yeah, exactly. Being able to just be alive and being part of, just a strong family that pushed me. But it was my own decision to go into the military, be able to go into college and get my college paid for, and start, and start building my brand. So, and I just say that to say that it's possible, and we having this platform and being able to share our stories, and we can sit and talk about it and reflect and definitely chuckle at a lot of stuff that was just kind of like people won't believe it, like jumping on mattresses and all that,
Yeah, people that used to jump out of window. I used to jump out of second-story windows onto a bunch of piled up mattresses,
or make cardboard houses, throughout the block with cardboard and stuff. So that all that stuff is, it's part of our experience and it's part of our story, and it's like many others. And I just want to just acknowledge those that are not here to tell their story anymore, because they did really engulf themselves in the environment that we grew up in, and they didn't make it out. So, we're definitely last of the Mohicans, right? We are the voice of our generation, and we do have to save. We got to save our young men and women. We gotta redirect them. Yeah, I think we owe it. Like you said, pay it forward, and that's definitely my motto, is to pay it forward and work towards rebuilding, because I'm sure that I was part of a lot of destroying. So yeah, man.
And then now we're looking at it as where it's time for us to reverse that, to build up instead of we're no longer destroyers. We're builders, and so for me, I'm just excited to be able and blessed. I'm excited and blessed to be able to do that, to be able to go and want to go learn how to go speak in schools and go and teach the younger generation, because that's what I'm here for. That's my goal, is to be able to go out and reach and touch people's lives and help them again avoid the pitfalls that we avoided, avoid the pitfalls that we had that we didn't avoid, and look at the stuff that, hey, listen, that there's so much opportunity for you out there that wasn't out there for us.
Yeah.
It's a completely different time now. They have so much opportunity to be successful at so many different things.
And now resources are so much more accessible.
Yes, that's the thing.
Like you cannot say that listen, I learned how to do carpentry work off YouTube during a time where, I wasn't working. There's so many resources. So there's no reason why that,
it's none whatsoever. Yeah. Brother, man, this has been great, man. I've loved talking to you, man. This has been amazing. Now is the time where you let people know where they can find you, your LinkedIn page, if you have Instagram, everything.
Hear me? Oh man, I lost you.
It was me. My grandson came and he pressed the button. He cut the power off for me.
Oh, it's all good.
That's what I was trying to avoid from him do before. Yeah. I was trying to keep him away from it, and he went and left, and then he just came out of nowhere. And I'm talking to you, and that's all I hear is click. I'm like, no, he did not. But sorry about that, people. That's what happens. I'm not gonna edit out because I just want y'all to realize life happens.
That's it, man.
My grandson happened. He just happened to just press things, and hey, I can't get upset with him. He's only 2 years. He's not even 2 years old. He sees lights. He's gonna want to touch it.
He's an engineer in the making. Engineering.
Yeah, he's like, Pop, I need your attention. So.
Well, Waz, I appreciate you having me on. This is one of, I feel, many, because we're gonna have a lot more to talk about, and I'm sure we're gonna have a lot of work that definitely we're gonna do together, because the mentorship thing is right aligned with one of my long-term goals. But right now I don't really have too many social medias, but Jason Garcia on LinkedIn is definitely my professional page, and reach out to me on there. I have all of my contact information. And yeah, I appreciate it, Wise. I really do.
Thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate it, man. But now it's time for shout outs. Big shout out to my Real Wise fam, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Love you, baby. Big shout out to my grandson Bryson for being him. And big shout out to my man Jason Garcia for coming through and having a great conversation with me, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. It was some good stuff. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at @wise_b_blunt, Instagram at @wise_b_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/wise76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.